Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. All I have to say is Fafa, Fafa, Fafa. Like I said, welcome back. We're about 10 seconds since Inter Miami defeated Atlanta United 2-1 at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A little bit of revenge for Inter Miami. I'm your host, Scotty. I'll be joined in a minute by my co-host, Saur. And wow, what a finish to a very interesting game as Inter Miami wins their third game of the MLS season, 3 out of 4, avoid a crushing first half red card that had caused them pain earlier in this season. Top of the Eastern Conference, and the hero today is Fafa Pico. He got hurt 7 minutes into his debut for Inter Miami's competitive debut, 7 minutes into his return to his hometown team. And this time he goes and becomes the hero. Saur, welcome. Fafa Pico, the hero. How many players on this team can go out and help this team win a game? This reminds me so much of last year when it was Campana or Afonso and any number of sort of role/squad players coming through to help Inter Miami clinch 3 points on their way to the points record. How are you feeling after that game?
So good. I think this was the best way you could win against a team like Atlanta, who basically gave us a gut punch every time we played them, because we would get so close and they would score in the closing minutes of the game. Inter Miami deserved it through and through. I didn't think Atlanta had that much to offer. We were so good throughout the 90 minutes. And
nailed the score prediction in the exact opposite way.
Nailed the score
in the exact opposite way.
And I'm so happy that Fafa Pico had the final laugh, because coming back from injury, he hasn't really had his Inter Miami career gotten off to a start yet.
It just did. It just started.
Exactly. That was the best way to announce his presence. Fantastic. And I love the fact that every single player that we've signed this off season has gone on to show exactly why we signed them. This team is brilliant across the board. Somebody told me Atlanta's front three is the best in the MLS. We have literally 6 players on that pitch who are probably better than their front three. It's unbelievable.
No, I said it before the game. Every single player on our roster is a lineup is better than theirs. Maybe not the goalkeeper, but every other player you take out of their starting 11 at the same position. So I agree with you guys. Get in the chat. This is our raw reaction, and we want to be clear with you guys. We try to be more analytical and composed and calm and be as accurate as we can be, and we think that's a hallmark of what we bring. But the raw reactions aren't really that. It's immediately after the game, and it is supposed to be emotional, exciting, hopefully not very often disappointing and angry, but mostly it's about you guys and us sort of having either group therapy or group celebration. So I want to be clear about that, and I want you guys to be the ones that lead the discussion. So get your thoughts in the chat. Saur, I think there was a chance that game was completely meaningless, specifically if we lost. But now that we won, huge game, revenge. This is clearly the best team in the MLS. I don't mean to overreact, but I don't
need to overreact. The result is right there.
I don't know if this team can lose. I don't know if they're physically capable. If you were designing a plan to beat Inter Miami, what would you do? Because there's no blueprint.
Listen, even Muhammad Ali lost on his worst day, right? So
you know who didn't? You know who didn't? Floyd Mayweather never lost. So you know what? It's possible. It is
possible for sure. But I feel like Inter Miami is more Muhammad Ali than Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was boring. Inter Miami tends to create their own problems. And as long as we play our perfect game, it's going to be really hard to beat us. That first goal from Latela was a good goal, but that was the entire strategy. They were unable to beat us centrally through the park. They were just not able to break our structure down. Yes, credit to them. They used the wings really well. And maybe we should have spoken a little bit more about Brooks Lennon coming back and Pedro Amador, because I felt like they tried to score on us by putting those dangerous balls dangerous balls crossing into the box. And they recognized that we don't have a commanding presence like Oster Stari in goal, with Rocco Rios Novo quite small in comparison. and that's what they wanted to do. But other than that, they just couldn't get anything centrally. And to go back to your question about can this Inter Miami team be beaten? Yes, if we show up hungover to a game after celebrating our CONCACAF Champions Cup victory.
But like we can go down to 10 men in the first half, not lose. I mean, we saw last year, we go down to 9 men, we're fine. So I don't actually know how a team beats us. I think it's amazing how deep this roster has become. And the fact that we can bring off a guy like Fafa Pico, who we talked about all offseason, has game-changing X-factor potential. That's what he is. And today he had his X-factor welcome to Inter Miami moment. And he helps Inter Miami get revenge on a team that knocked him out of the playoffs last year. I agree with you. I didn't think Atlanta posed a ton of concern going the other way. And I'm not exactly sure if that was because Inter Miami has just improved so much defensively. They're so much more structured. They are so much better. Their personnel is better. Yannick Bright was in the midfield. We didn't always see that last season. And so I don't know if it's just that this team's still coming together or the difference between it being a very, very good MLS offense and what we're used to seeing every week is just a huge gap. And I think that actually might be the case. It's just we've become accustomed to guys like Luis Suarez and Messi and Telasco Segovia and Tadeo Allende who are so unbelievably good that anything else feels like a significant downgrade, even though by MLS standards, I still think this is a good team. Now, can I ask you one question before we get to the chat? Every game this season, we have finished and someone has said, oh, but that team wasn't even good. That team was bad. It feels now like we can't say that because we've played multiple teams that everyone thought were going to be really good, and we handled them. I thought we handled them.
Atlanta's not even that good. We haven't played anyone serious yet. What are you talking about? I don't know, man. This game could have been very different if Brad Guzan wasn't on drugs. Someone test him, please, because he just shows up against Inter Miami every single time. I want to see his stats because I think he had 6 saves this game, which is insane. Messi could have easily had a hat trick. Tadeo Allende could have scored a couple of really good goals. It could have gone so much easier in terms of the scoreline. And unfortunately, it took a Fafa Pico header at the end of the game to win us the 3 points. But I think it was much easier than that. And listen, I watched the entire game with the commentary on mute, so I have no idea what the general sensation and feeling was in the commentary box and how the fans were reacting and stuff. So that tends to lessen the emotions at least. So I may have seen it from a very biased perspective of what I was watching. But there were instances where Atlanta did have some threat, but never like a final third. Oh my goodness, they're absolutely peppering our goal with shots. It wasn't ever like that at any point.
It felt like in the first 10 to 12 minutes, basically until their first goal, like Atlanta was playing the way they wanted to play. And then for the rest of the game, it felt like maybe they had 1 or 2 opportunities where a loose ball got caught up and they pulled something, but they never looked like they were going to sustain pressure in order to score a goal. It always felt like it would be kind of fluky. And the numbers bear that out.
Minutes, go on.
Sorry, go ahead. Well,
give me the number.
Atlanta 1.04 xG, Inter Miami 1.8 xG. So this is exactly how the game should have gone according to the numbers. More big chances, more shots, more corners, a little bit better possession. So I think this game, the final score was very indicative of how this game went.
Yeah, and I feel like after the first 12, 15 minutes, our backline adjusted much better. I thought Falcone was a little bit unprepared for Latte La to begin with. He didn't necessarily get up that authoritatively to win some of the headers. Noah Allen was, I think, struggling a little bit to contain some of those crosses. But then after that, they switched up. Something changed after halftime, especially because after halftime, they didn't let anything through. Even Guzan.
I think it was after the first goal, man.
Yeah, after the first goal. Because I thought Falcone was, again, brilliant, very, very composed. It didn't feel like he was ever dominated by Latte La or Jean de Silva once he came on, or any of their attacking threats. I thought Miguel Almiron was having a lot of joy on that right-hand side of the pitch. And we can talk about Jordi Alba's game, but eventually Noah Allen started to understand when to come in, when to close him down. He, I thought, might have been Atlanta's best player. but there was absolutely nothing from Miranchuk. I thought Yannick Bright did a great job on him, just shutting him down completely. Lob Janitze had nothing to offer. I didn't even realize he was on the pitch. And credit to Gonzalo Lujan, who I thought did a really good job on that right-hand side to just close down anything that was coming our way from Atlanta on that side of the pitch. Every move that they brought on was from that left-hand side because they knew Alba was going to go forward. And then after halftime, I think Alba also realized that he needs to come back to defense. So it became a lot more composed and a lot more structured. And then how much can I talk about the midfield, man? I can go on for days. It will not stop if I start.
Well, let's get to the chat because I'm sure it will come up. SD says the GOAT and Fafa gave us a very sweet revenge. Bravo, Miami. I mean, that was a perfect header. Like even the defenders were like, I think that's going wide. Maybe I'll just let it go, and then it hits the post and goes in. But Messi, I think, was the story of the first 87 minutes of this game. He was playing hard defensively. You could tell he wanted it in a way that he doesn't want every game. And that goal, he earns the interception and then finishes with a really nice touch. Classic Messi. I think you could see him playing this same game and ending up with like 2 or 3 goals. The opportunities didn't quite come for that, but I still thought he played exceptionally well. And I think was as good as we've seen it in Inter Miami. Maybe
this
since
was
that
a
first
very complete performance from Lionel Messi. Both going back, going forward. He was just everywhere. He looked sharp. He looked ready. He was pressing. Someone who says Messi doesn't press, he won that ball himself and scored that goal by himself.
They were pressing more than normal in this game.
Yeah, they wanted it, and it looked really good. I thought Suarez was good as well, even though he didn't get his goal. I thought he looked fine. Allende again, I thought had a really, really good game. But yeah, Messi especially. I don't know if you've seen our tweet, and he is our heron of the match. So check out that tweet because it encapsulates his performance perfectly.
Miami King says, Fafa, Fafa, Fafa. Sveteric says, I love you, Fafa. And Cynical says, Fafa, Vui. What a debut. I mean, we mentioned it, but this was not a debut, but his entrance, his emergence in the to Inter Miami fans, right? This was his statement. I'm going to be a game changer for you guys. I think this is exactly what I expected from Fafa Pico this season, was not to be incredibly technical and dribble and pass people and be impactful for 90 minutes and just a guy that you can go to create offense, but he's just going to be in the right spot at the right time because he worked so hard to get there, and that he's going to make the impactful moments and at the impactful times. And today he was the game winner, right?
Who would have thought he would score with his header? That wasn't on my bingo card. Of all his traits of running and being quick, he scores with a perfectly placed header. He's actually giving an interview right now, and he looks really happy. I'm so glad, man. I'm so happy for him. Honestly, he deserves this. A bit of a difficult start with that injury to begin with, but going into the international break, he can now go to his go represent his country, knowing that he's done something really, really good for Inter Miami fans. And I think he had a really, really positive impact. There was one moment where he was running down that right-hand pitch completely free, not a single person near him, and Messi had the ball, and he crossed the ball, and it was just a fraction offside.
No, but that's going to be there. It's going to be there this year.
You could see exactly what the blueprint is for Fafa Pico, because this is his moment in time in the game. 85th to 90th minute, when the other players are tired, there's more space. He's just bombing down the flank, and Messi's popping those great balls into him. He's going to be so good for this team, man. And I think we haven't even had the opportunity to enjoy him a lot recently because of his injuries. But imagine him in CONCACAF. It's going to be so important to have those players who can run in the last minutes of the game. I'm so excited for him.
Dude, there are going to be really talented players that don't get minutes on this team, especially once Baltasar and Alan Obando come in, and then, David Ruiz and Cello come back. I mean, it's good. This team is so good. Miami King says Guzan definitely took drugs 100%. 6 saves, 3 from inside the box, and he had one where he comes for the ball that doesn't end up in the stat sheet, but that would have been a Messi goal. I think it was on Suarez, a Suarez pass that he intercepted. I don't even know what else to say. I'm with you now. I think maybe we should just not talk about him.
Nah, he's so good. At 40, I think he only shows up to play against Miami. That's his dream. And he was relishing this moment, and he almost had it. This game could have ended a draw, and we would be talking about Brad Guzan because he had some really good saves. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to say about him. He's an anomaly when it comes to
Okay.
Miami games.
Blazes says Mascherano, man of the match. What'd you think? I hated taking Yannick Bright off. I will say that. We will talk about Yannick Bright in more as the chat takes us there. And then obviously the Drake Calendar, Rocco Rios Nova decision. I'm sure the chat will take us there too. But other than those two decisions, Javier Mascherano, how'd you feel about this game?
He's undefeated, man.
He can't be beat.
He's undefeated.
Here's what I want to say. People were defending Tata Martino last year, and I think that's fine. But I think Inter Miami absolutely made the right decision to try and get someone better, and I think they've found someone better. Time will tell, of course. And I don't mean that as a shot at Tata Martino, but just his fit for this team and everything. Like, I think they had to try and get someone better, and I think they succeeded. Gundam says Redondo's so lucky. That was another red card. He looked like he had a handball. I was really scared that was going to be called a handball.
Yeah, I was surprised that it went by without being checked.
I'm kind of surprised he came into the game, if I'm being honest with you, actually.
But I wasn't surprised that he came on. I was surprised he came on in the 82nd minute because I thought Javier Mascherano might bring him on in like the 60th or the 65th minute. But it looked like he just wanted a little bit more pace in the middle just to have that energy and legs. And honestly, Bright had done such a good job in the middle of the park till then. I was unhappy that he got taken off, but I could understand that decision. Bright was quite tired by the end of it.
Blazes says Yannick Bright and Noah Allen were so good. These guys will be gone after the season. I'm getting scared about Yannick Bright, man. Like, he's stepped up his game another level. I'm actually scared we're not going to have him for much longer.
Dude, I will start noting down the number of line breaking passes that he does, and it really opens up everything for this team. It's so good, and his strength is so underrated. There was this one moment where he just bullied people off the ball. I think it wasn't Latela. I think it was Muyumba who was trying to get the ball off him. And then Lob Janitze tried to come and support him. And he just bullied both of them off the ball, got the foul, and got his team out of pressure. He just does these small things that completely ease the pressure off. And now he's starting to play one-touch football. Now he's starting to break lines, put balls into
he's such
Messi.
A monster defensively.
And just putting all these crossfield balls, like, what is happening? How is he developing into this insane player? Because his defensive skills are amazing, but the overall wholesomeness of his play is just something that's I'm astounded, man.
There was a moment in the sort of probably like 60 to 65th minute where Inter Miami sort of crouching in to try and create an offensive maneuver. It's a turnover, and Atlanta looks like they can break in transition with numbers. Yannick Bright, instead of running back with the numbers, has the perfect instinct, steps forward, knows exactly what he can and can't do, knocks the ball free. It ends up at Messi's feet and a shot. And I was just thinking, within like 3 seconds, this coach for Atlanta, Ronnie Dyla, is like, I'm about to get an awesome opportunity going the other way. And then within the blink of an eye, it's Messi with a one-on-one against Brad Guzan and goal. And Guzan makes the save. But that was entirely created by Yannick Bright. He's so good. And the defensive impact he has, like, I know you said it's incredible, it's immense, but it's still underrated because he completely changes how the midfield plays in every single game he plays in. He's incredible, man. Really. Diego says it's the best game of the season so far. Did you feel like that too? I mean, it felt a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun because it was against a team that we wanted revenge against, and we played really well. It felt like both teams had some really good opportunities, and Inter Miami was the better team in the night and deserved that result. Overall, really fun game to watch, for sure.
Manny says Almiron should have been booked. Overhyped like Zaha. He got away with a couple flops. He got away with both on Noah Allen and on Yannick Bright.
The diving from Zaha School of Diving, man.
The dude says first place in the East. Miami does take first place. Nashville beat Philadelphia earlier today. So Philadelphia on 9 points. Inter Miami jumps to the top with 10 points. Are they going to give this up at any point for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
Are they going to lose at any point for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think so, but I also think they're going to give it up at some point because we're going to have some really tough games in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and also I believe we might actually have a couple of games less than some of the other teams when we go for the Club World Cup. So I don't know. There might be some logistical instances where we might give up the lead because
But
of having played
but
less games.
I think that our B team is still capable of winning games, and that's what I think makes this a shoe-in for Inter Miami to win the Supporters Shield. They're on 10 points. The only team ahead of them is Vancouver, who's still unbeaten and undrawn. They have 12 points so far.
They're a bit of a dark horse this season.
Yeah, I'm interested in them in a way that I wasn't paying enough attention to. I don't pay as much attention to the Western Conference, so I am curious to see where that leads. But yeah, Inter Miami jumps Philadelphia. They're now first in the East. Anton says Drake would have stopped that first goal. Okay, let's talk about Rocco Rios Novo. How'd you feel?
I think he grew into this game. He became a lot more confident, but started really timid. You can automatically see the difference between him and Ustari. I'm not even going to bring Drake into the conversation yet, but Ustari commands his box really well. I feel like he could have done a lot better in that first goal. Ustari would have either saved that goal on the near post or even come out for it and collected it. Rocco Rios Novo got a little bit double-minded as to whether he wants to come out and collect the ball or he actually wants to stay back on his line and save it, and then ended up in no man's land. Latela, easy shot on target, and just ended up scoring. Wasn't particularly impressed by him with that goal, and I feel like after that he had a couple of instances as well. Second header that Latela had that went in, another
that was even worse.
That was offside, which made me a little bit concerned. But then after that, I thought he did much better. He had some really good moments of passing the ball into Messi, creating opportunities. But I don't think it was a game to write home about. He grew into it, and I'm glad he never had a moment that we had our hands on our head and were like, "Oh, why is he doing this?" So overall, I think a 6 out of a 10 performance with some concerns. I'm not sure if he's ready to be a second choice goalkeeper yet.
He's a third choice goalkeeper. Like that's
and
what
he plays
he is.
like that.
And he plays like that. He's not. I don't want to talk bad about him. I wasn't impressed with his performance
because he didn't have an outright bad moment. Like he had some poor errors.
You're right. You're right. He didn't have a bad moment, but there's just all the little things that you watch. His positioning, his ability to come out for the ball. I don't think he's good as a passer. I don't know where you got that from. I mean, maybe he had one solid through ball, but like I don't see that from him in the same way that people talk about him. Certainly not like Ustadi. And he looks very uncomfortable back there. Yeah. He had a save where he sort of dives and tips it. And I'm thinking to myself, Ustari just catches that ball with two hands. Like he just takes 2 steps over and catches it. Same with Drake Callender. It looked impressive because he's 5'10" and he dove for it. But he did have one nice save in the second half. It was sort of from close distance. He gets low and he makes a save. But I don't know. That's all I'm going to say on Rios Novo. Ustari will be back on the other side of the international break. And part of me thinks we do need to keep Drake Callender, but a conversation for another day. Star says Kramaski didn't perform well. How'd you feel about Benjamin?
Too small a sample size to judge. I thought he was fine when he came on. He was brought on to bring some fresh legs, and that's what he provided.
No, I think Kramaski was fine. He didn't play a ton. Like he wasn't. By the time the game got to the second half, it felt a little bit more open, and it felt like Inter Miami didn't need him to be a playmaker. He did have a moment where he kind of got himself open in the box, and Alba pushed it to him, but he didn't quite take the step forward and enough to engage with it and take a shot on goal. So I can understand, like, if you really want to nitpick his game, there are certainly moments, but I thought he was fine, and especially considering, like, I didn't think he had a huge impact in the game. Either way, I thought it was okay. Bizrat says Atlanta played well. What is this Atlanta team? Like, what do you think they are now that you've seen them for 90 minutes?
We judged them absolutely correctly. We knew what their weapons were. We knew exactly what they would bring to the table. And they struggled to connect their pieces towards the end of the game. I think they started really well. They had a game plan. The balls into the box, the crosses were working really well for them, and Latela was getting the better of both our defenders. I was going to say Chelo Wigan, but we haven't seen him in a while. Falcon and Allen, and they had a good game plan. They came at us with a little bit of speed. Almiron had some nice trickery feet that he got away from Alba, and it looked nice to begin with. But once Inter Miami realized what this Atlanta side is trying to do, it just became very easy to stop that, because
They figured them out.
they were very one dimensional. They didn't have multiple different ways to attack us, and they tried to go centrally. Nothing came through. We gave them absolutely nothing. That worked for them really well the last time they played us, because they were able to tear us apart completely on defensive transitions. This time they got nothing on that side, so they tried to go on the cross-side route of using their flanks. But once we figured that out and started stopping those, it became very easy for this Inter Miami defense to shut out this Atlanta attack. Yes, they had a couple of good moments, and maybe they'll grow on into the season, but I feel like they might suffer from having a very one-dimensional sort of a gameplay towards the final third.
You mentioned something just there that once Inter Miami figured them out, they were fine. And I actually think that's becoming a little bit of a theme for Inter Miami this year, where they look the most vulnerable in those first 10 minutes. And that was a little bit of the case last year. They gave up a lot of goals in the first 5 to 7 minutes. But they feel like once they kind of get an understanding of what you're trying to do as the opposition, they have the tools and the intelligence to adapt and sort of shut you down from there. They give up the goal in the 11th minute. There was another goal where Latela was, half a yard offside, but that didn't affect whether they were going to score or not. But other than that, I really didn't think they looked like they were going to score or deserved more goals in this game. You won't be surprised here. Taylor Twellman did mention that they could have had 2 or 3 more goals in this game. But
nice.
But yeah, you did listen without the audio, so maybe you were smart for that. Mistiano says Allende switched to more central. What did you think of Allende's game? He didn't get the goal, which feels weird because he always scores, but still an impactful moment.
He had chances. He could have scored a couple of goals. I thought he looked really sharp. He looked better than Segovia. Yeah, half chances. I think he looked better than Segovia. Segovia looked fine. I think he struggled a little bit on that left-hand side because Jordi Alba was also getting absolutely pummeled, and Atlanta was coming down that side of the pitch. I think most of our attack was coming down the right-hand side because Messi was drifting out to that side. So especially in the second half, if you saw, Messi was hugging the line and asking for the ball on the right-hand side of the pitch and then drifting either centrally or down the line to create opportunities for himself. So that's why Allende got pushed either centrally or was making those runs in behind. But I thought Allende offered a really good outlet. Some really nice stuff with the ball at his feet, a couple of really good shots at Guzan's goal. I thought there was a couple of chances where he overstepped it and made it difficult for himself and easier for Guzan to make those saves. But I still think he's dangerous every single game. And you give him one moment and he'll make it count. So I like that from him. I really like Allende as a player. And that's something that I didn't expect from him when we first signed him.
Messi did get him the ball once, and he had just slightly too hard of a touch, and he kind of narrowed the angle for himself. I thought he was going to score there.
Yeah.
But overall, I agree with you. He's a really nice player. As far as Segovia, he looks exhausted to me, honestly. I keep saying this, but he's one of the players that just starts game in and game out no matter what. I think he could really use 2 weeks off now. He's not going to get it because he's going to national team duty to Venezuela. But with Fafa Pico back, I do hope he gets a little bit of time off in the next couple of weeks because he's earned it.
He did come off at the 60th minute. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was because he was exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And this team needed a little bit of refresh. That Telasco Segovia on the left and Tadeo Allende on the right. I talked about this in the first couple games of the season before Messi got fatigue and Segovia moved centrally. I still want to see them switch sides. I want to see what Allende looks like on the left, and I want to see what Segovia looks like on the right. I think schematically it could work more, especially in a game where Ian Frey plays, so you have a little bit of a threat down the right. And so Segovia can kind of, like he's doing with Jordi Alba, can give that space to Ian Frey. So I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Tony says, what did you guys think of Lujan. Nuno says Lujan solid. Misiano says Lujan not great. Miami King says Lujan played not bad on defense. What did you think of Gonzalo Lujan at right back?
Lujan did his job really well. There was a lot of danger in that side of the park with Lobjanitse coming down, and I didn't feel like Lobjanitse had any opportunity to get involved in this game. I didn't even notice him, honestly. Maybe that was because I wasn't watching with the commentary on, but I genuinely didn't think he had much to do, and that was because Lujan was locking him down. Defensively, he did his part. He stuck to the guns, did not get beat. I think a couple of times he had some moments where he almost gave the ball away to Atlanta, but then recovered really well. And solid performance. I think solid 7 out of 10 performance from Lujan.
He's a center back, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
and he plays like that. But that's what we wanted.
No,
from
that's
him
my
this game,
yeah.
right?
I guess that's what I mean is like he's a center back that's playing right back, and he plays it as a center back, and that's fine. And in fact, there's often times where that's exactly what you need. I thought he played in this game not because they wanted him defensively, but because they didn't want to risk Ian Frey, which I 100% agree with. Like, I don't think the strategy for many games, especially against a team like this, is going to be to have defensive solidity over both one-on-one shutdown and get forward. Like, I think that was a strategic decision for health reasons on Ian Frey. But
let me ask you
I'm
this.
okay with
if we need to give Ian Frey a break, Chelo Egan's not
Cello.
available, would you be happy with Lujan in that right back?
Yeah. You know,
exactly.
he's fine. I'm actually curious to see if Chelo Egan. I think Chelo might be better at right back than Lujan, based on what I've seen so far. Brad says we need Baltasar as soon as possible. He can't keep relying on Kremasky. Listen, Fafa back now, I think, is going to jump Kremasky in the line for who's the first guy off the bench or who gets the next start. But it'll be interesting to see where Baltasar Rodriguez fits in. I actually don't think he's going to be that much different than Kremasky as a player. Like, I think he's going to be slightly more technical, but I think he's going to be less physical. Like, he's not as big or strong, and he's going to be like a work hard kind of fit into the system type of guy. I don't think we're going to see him be like a hugely impactful player, at least not right away. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he's an amazing player, but it's sort of my expectation. Messi heat map says he ran 5 miles. That's something. Miami King says Bright should not be out. The only sub that's not right. Dude, I will tell you, when he subbed him out, I thought to myself, if we lose this game, we're going to be so upset on the post-game show because of that decision.
Yeah, that would have been awful because Atlanta has done one on us before in the last minutes of the game, so we don't want to see that again. But I thought we maintained our defensive composure then, and it worked out. It was only 8 minutes, right? So thank God.
Yeah, that's all. Right, we scored a goal and won the game in those 8 minutes. Priso says Allen is keeping his spot. Could not agree more. He's incredible, man. I don't know what to say. Like, he's so much better than what Kamal Miller was, or what he might be playing right now as well as any center back ever has for Inter Miami in the history of Inter Miami. Like Fagal, like whoever you want to, LGP, whoever you want to put out there, he's playing as well as them. And by the way, Maxi Falcone right next to him might also be playing at that same sort of tier. Those two together, I think they fit really well. I think Allen next to Alba covers his blind side so well. I really love what I'm seeing from Noah Allen. It's incredible. I think they might have to go get him the left back. Honestly.
There were a couple of mistakes in Noah Allen today, which is understandable because there was a couple of mistakes across the entire back line. We had some issues to begin with at the start, and then he just went about his business like it was nobody else's. Nobody had anything to do with it. He just understood what he needed to do, fixed up a little bit, and you're like, yeah, okay, they're causing me issues here. I'm going to fix it. And then for the next 80 minutes of the game, he was just phenomenal again. So I liked it. I liked the fact that Noah Allen was under a bit of adversity on that side of the pitch. Noticed that, made some changes, and was back on the level that we're talking about from him, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Jay with some helpful updates from across the league. Charlotte beat Cincy 2-0 today, and Nashville held Miami by beating Philadelphia. So good all-around day. Charlotte has now beaten both Cincinnati and Atlanta 2-0. I think it's safe to say they're pretty good. And Jay says Philadelphia on March 29th, another big one coming up. That's our next game, actually. I actually don't think Philadelphia is that good. I know they've won 3 out of the first 4, but I don't think they're that good.
I mean, they said Atlanta was good. We beat them. They said Charlotte was good. We beat them. They say
But it's
Philadelphia is
different.
good.
It's different if they say it and if I say it. That's all
Yeah,
I'll say.
yeah, exactly.
Josue says, is it safe to say Atlanta is Miami's rival for this season along the same lines?
I think they will be. I think
I
Charlotte
don't
and
know.
Atlanta are going to be up there
I saw
once
some
they figure
people.
out their offense.
I saw some people pushing this Atlanta and Miami rivalry over the last couple of days, and I don't get it, honestly. Like, it's not going to be a rivalry in a year and a half, so it's only sort of like beefing over a spot. But remember, this time last year, or maybe even maybe June of last year, May of last year, Inter Miami and Cincinnati were going back and back and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then we went there, and then they crushed us, and it was like, oh, this is the thing, and then I haven't heard from Cincinnati since then. So it's like, I don't know. It comes and goes really easily.
Yeah,
I do think
our
Charlotte's gonna be there.
true rival is obviously Nashville.
No,
I'm joking.
I mean, it's Orlando City.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Like it is, and it should be Orlando City. That's my opinion.
Yeah, of course. Only one. Hate the purple.
Tony says, "Where was Segovia today?" ? Anton says, "Much better game from Jordi Alba." What do you think of Jordi?
I think he can get slightly. He's still not the levels that we're used to from him. He was poor for 9. Okay, he was poor for I think 80 to 90 minutes, and then towards the end he was a little bit better. But I don't think he was too sharp. It's not looking good. Maybe the break will do him some good. I didn't think he had a great performance.
Miami King also says Albert performed finally. I agree with you. Like, I didn't think he was poor today, and I think we've had a couple games this year where he was kind of like poor. That wasn't the case today, but I agree with you. Like, he has game-changing, game-winning potential, and he does that like once a month. And we've now gone through the first month of the season and haven't had it yet. So I don't think today was like we're good for Jordi Alba game.
Yeah, and he struggled because Almiron skinned him a couple of times, and I was like, that's not looking good.
David C says Suarez's one-touch misplays will cost us versus better teams, especially him wandering around the pitch more frequently. What do you think about Suarez today?
He drifts in and out, but I feel like these kind of games aren't really for him. He works really hard, man, and I can really respect that, but it just wasn't his game. He had a couple of really good balls into Messi and into the box that created some good opportunities. So overall, he did what he was supposed to, but I felt like you need a younger striker in these games that can actually contribute defensively. But I thought Suarez did what he was supposed to do offensively, barring scoring a goal. He had some really good chances created.
Well, he was also part of a press that created some high turnovers, including a goal for Inter Miami. So I don't think Suarez deserves any criticism for this game.
No, I don't think he was bad at all. And I would jump on that criticism as soon as I can. And you know that. But I don't think he was bad this game at all. He was decent.
A lot of people in the chat are telling us that we're wrong about Kramaski. So here's what I will tell you guys. As always, we will rewatch the game tomorrow and give you more informed thoughts on our game recap when we break everything down in a little bit more detail. Actually, a lot more detail, but that was sort of our raw reaction. Miami King says, at least we have some ingredients to get revenge from. It's like a good feeling to beat Atlanta, right? But does it feel like completely satisfying and sweet?
Nope.
Do you feel like you just accomplished something? Like, great. You do.
No, like, yeah, just beat Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. That's why this isn't. Yeah. That's why this isn't a rivalry. That's why this isn't a rivalry. We just beat Atlanta because that's what we do. We beat Atlanta. Like I
will say when Messi scored, I actively clapped like quite loudly. So I did feel good.
There was a moment where Jordi Alba, where he kicks into the side netting.
Yeah,
that I just thought to myself,
like,
that would have been the moment. That would have been incredible. I think I almost sort of squealed a little bit when that happened. Miami King says Alba had an assist, right? Did he get the assist on the Fafa Pico goal?
Maybe I'll have to rewatch that one, but maybe I'm not sure.
I'll just look it up because I have it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Jordi Alba gets the assist. Luis says Baltasar is light years better than Kramaski. He plays creative with the ball, taller than Facundo, and faster. He'll be great at starting when Messi's not available. I guess we'll see. I mean, I hope he's incredible. I hope he is. Like, But I guess my feeling is he's going to fit into this team in a very similar way, although much more technical. Like, I don't mean to take that from him. I do expect him to be much more technical.
Yeah.
Jay says, not seeing how Kremasky or Redondo are better options than Gressel. This game's only more proof that Kremasky is minimally positive contributor. Julian Gressel and Drake Callender now, both of them sort of relegated to non-contributors. Julian Gressel not even making the bench. He only makes the bench if they run out of players to make the bench. He certainly doesn't play. He doesn't make road trips. He's okay. Let me ask you a question. No, but he's not out the door. That's the thing. If they were trying their hardest to move him, he would be gone by now. And so at what point do you just say he's a part of this team for now? Let's use him. And this isn't about this game. So, it's a conversation for a minute.
Window closes, I guess.
But if you do want to move him, doesn't it make sense to play him a little bit and see if he can get an assist and have some teams say, you know what, I could use that. Like him being out of sight, out of mind, I don't think helps move him. And if you're not trying your hardest to move him for salary reasons or whatever, and you're just content to wait for a good offer, why not use him when it's time? This game, I don't think was really the right situation for it, but certainly over the last couple of games when we were missing Robert Taylor and Fafa Pico and we're playing David Ruiz out wide and stuff like that, like there was an option.
I will say, like, if you look at it, the number of players you want to bring off the bench, Gressel's pretty far down there. Like, he doesn't immediately jump out. Yes, when there's an injury crisis, perhaps, as you mentioned, when Fafa was out, Robert Taylor was out. But if everyone's healthy, he's further down the depth chart. So I can understand why he's not being used as much. But
there's a difference between being down the depth chart and being off the coach's radar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not that he's not being used as much. It's that he's not in the plans at all, which is an interesting decision. Luis says we need a number 9 to rest Suarez. I hope Albando is on his way here. We expected him to be available or at least be announced by today's game. He should 1,000% be available for our next game against Philadelphia, which is in 13 days. Guzan lost a good part of his manhood on that second goal. Don't you think Callender wasn't used today because he's not in match rhythm yet? No, guys,
goalkeepers don't need match rhythm.
Well, it's not that. It's not that. This has been reported, if you look deep enough and hard enough, that the conversation between Callender and Mascherano and the coaching staff was not particularly positive once it was decided that Ustari was going to be the number 1 and Callender was not going to be given a chance to compete for the number 1 spot. We don't know. We have no idea what that conversation was like. So I'm not saying I'm not assigning blame to anyone. Like, sometimes this just happens in professions, in life. So I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but Callender's not, I think, in the good graces of the staff right now. Maybe that'll change this international window. Who knows?
I would love to see where he stands on our draft when we do it this week.
Yeah. PVO says Inter Miami CEO and Chief Commercial Officer Javier Asensi criticizes disastrous pitch conditions on Instagram. Did you think the pitch was better today than on Thursday? Oh, dude, I hate playing on turf. It was. I'm kidding. But
it was, but it wasn't anywhere nearly as good as MLS would require.
And then Luis says that Gressel's negotiating with San Diego and LAFC. I don't think LAFC has the money for him. San Diego probably does, but we will see. 2 teams that certainly could use him, especially LAFC. But maybe we have a deal with LAFC and we're just waiting until after our matchup with them so that he doesn't hurt us.
That's actually that's a good point.
Last one. Marco says, hi guys, Messi magic showed up again in Atlanta without him, probably tied or a loss in my opinion. He was the driver of the game for Inter Miami for the first 70, 85 minutes until Fafa Pico came on and won the game for us. Like, he was the best player.
Best game this season, by the way.
Yeah, he was the best player.
He was so good. He was better than any game that he's played previously because he looked sharp, he looked involved, he looked engaged, and he was creating opportunities left, right, and center, finding joy. And I thought he'd struggle in the artificial turf, but no, just went about his business. And I said revenge is a dish best served cold, but Lionel Messi was an absolute fire out there, and he was. So
Yeah. Okay, guys, do us a favor, hit the like button. We've got almost 400 people watching, 393. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the conversation in the chat. It is honestly the best part. As we try and say multiple times on this raw reaction, we just watched the game with you. We go live 10 seconds after the game ends. So it is all emotion. We did not get a chance to rewatch the game. We didn't get a chance to really analyze. The first time we watch it as fans, just like everyone else. And so we are excited or emotional. And today it was all about Fafa Pico at the beginning, and so that was great. But our opinions sometimes and often do change as we head into the next day. We have a chance to sort of look at the stats more holistically, have a chance to rewatch the game, pay attention to things that we weren't necessarily paying attention to on our first watch, especially some of the sort of more minute things that happen. So we will always say we have a more nuanced and I think complete opinion the day after the game, but we like to go live with you guys because it's fun and exciting, and we have fun doing it too. So that's all for tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow with that more informed analysis. Hope you guys join us. But until then, have a lovely night. Thank you. From the Dry Pink Dialogue. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.